Welcome to the Greater Pensacola Chamber Toddcast, sponsored by Moorhead Real Estate Law Group. On the Toddcast, Chamber President Todd Thompson talks to the leaders that are making a difference and driving the conversations that will impact our community. Now here's the Chamber President, Todd Thompson.
Welcome back to the Toddcast. I'm Todd Thompson, President and CEO of the Greater Pensacola Chamber of Commerce. And we're here today with Brian Wyer, President and CEO of the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber of Commerce here in Pensacola. Brian, it's a pleasure to have you today, and welcome to the Toddcast.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here today.
Absolutely. So first, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you came to be President and CEO of the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber.
Well, I was born and raised here in Pensacola, went to high school, went to the University of West Florida, graduated, and immediately went down to Tampa to work for IBM and PricewaterhouseCoopers. I spent over 20 years down in Tampa working with project management, training, IT support, and then I moved into working with inclusion and diversity. Then we moved back here to Pensacola in 2013, where I worked a couple different jobs in nonprofits, and I became the president of the Gulf Coast African American Chamber back in 2017.
Okay.
In 2018, we made the decision to change into the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber of Commerce and create a new organization that I'm part of today.
Okay. So it's been a couple years. I know you've had a little bit of a transition. Talk about that a little. Changing from African American to minority. It's a broader range, I would think. But talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. And I tell this story quite a bit. Over my first 5 months working here at the Chamber, people loved what we were doing. They were very happy with what's going on, but they kept saying, I'm sorry, I can't join the Chamber because I'm not Black.
Right.
And I said, well, we're not only just for Black individuals and Black businesses. We have a whole wide breadth of range of all different races, nationalities, genders. And we saw a need at that point to really kind of expand the name and get the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber of Commerce so that we can cover a broader base, be more open to all different types of groups, not just in name, but also in mission and in purpose. That change has been very well received in the community. People understand the reason, the fact that we want to be more inclusive. Mm-hmm. In fact, if you look at the 2012 census, we had about 3,300 Black businesses in Escambia County, and we had roughly about 2,800 more other minorities in the county.
Okay.
So by combining together, we're now become a bigger force.
Right.
We're over 6,000 minority businesses as opposed to 3,000.
Right.
So that allows more economies of scale as a chamber.
And so your Gulf Coast, so your reach is beyond just Pensacola and Escambia County.
It really is. I mean, my focus right now is working with helping support Pensacola and Escambia County. It's my primary focus to really get the model working well. But we have members in Fort Walton Beach. We have some members that have left the area out in California and Texas that still are supporting the chamber.
Wow.
We can really span anywhere from Mobile, I would say, to Tallahassee, because there is no official other minority chamber in that area.
Right.
And as we get it going well here in Pensacola and Escambia County, I do want to branch out more and work with some of the other counties. I have a great relationship with Donna Tucker over in Santa Rosa County, which you work with as well. Mm-hmm. We have a great relationship with the Pensacola Chamber, Beach Chamber, Gulf Breeze Chamber, Perdido Key, and we do want to branch out in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And seems to be a real spirit now of working together, collaboration. It's been a little bit of a challenge now that we're working virtually, but you look forward to being able to get folks back together and really work on that as a community.
Yeah, I know for your chamber and my chamber as well, we have some great things planned for the year. I think the worst investment of all of 2020 is to buy a planner, because you take the planner, you throw it away now, because every day and moment is a difference. I mean, you don't know what to predict next.
Right.
I know you had great things planned. I had great things planned. We had great things planned together. But due to the virus and some of the other things going on in the world, we had to adjust our plans. And now we can definitely hope to pivot towards it and then make it even better once we get out of this.
Absolutely. So, yeah, let's talk about that a little bit in terms of 2020. With the virus and people working virtually and not being able to get together. How have you been operating? How's the Minority Chamber been working in these last few months?
It's been a challenge because of the fact that by nature, chambers are very open and responsive. I see my friends, I give them handshakes, I give them hugs.
Right.
And for people like us that work in this industry, it's really hard not to be able to network the same way we have in the past. When I first found out the virus was happening seriously, I grabbed stuff in my office, I threw it in my car, and I left. So I haven't physically been back in my office, and the building been open yet because of the concern that we do have. Especially within the minority community, all the statistics are showing that we have a higher rate of hospitalizations, of deaths, and positive cases than a lot of the other minority groups, non-minority groups. So for us, we really have to pivot and be safe for our members. We do work virtually. We've made some accommodations to help make sure we continue to do business, but the best we can for the safety of our businesses.
Right. And I know for us, getting information out to businesses has been, key, making sure they know about the programs and testing and things that are happening. Have you been able to do that?
I really have. And one of the things that we do, your chamber, my chamber, we all kind of have an agreement that someone has great information, put it out there, and the other chambers have no problem stealing it, sending it out.
So share it.
Stealing it in a good way. So
right.
I know you've made some great posts. I've taken your posts and shared them and copied them and shared them out from there. I've gotten calls from other people say, "Hey, Brian, do you mind if we use this?" And I say, "No problem at all." So we've been trying our best to get the message out. At times in the very beginning, it was confusing.
Right.
I held off sending out messages. I held out communicating things because I was getting such stuff so fast and it was so different that I didn't want to confuse people.
Right.
I mean, I will admit, I personally got confused when I would see some of the same emails saying different things, and it changed day after day. So I held off and had to absorb it all and understand what vital communications needed to go out and what impact they would have once they're sent. So it's been a challenge in that regard.
That was absolutely one of the biggest things, early on is just what can you trust, and things change so quickly. If you put something out in the morning, is it really even, valid in the afternoon or the next day? And it's a real balancing act on making sure that you're putting the right information and making sure that it's reaching those who need to get it.
Yeah, in the beginning, I sent a lot of information out about the PPP process and about unemployment things, how to fill it out. And then lo and behold, a couple of days later, they scrapped that and they changed it. So anyone that went through that process very early, they found the information either being not useful or had to be modified. So I really felt an onus to try to make sure everything's completely correct if possible.
Right. So you mentioned you had some great plans for 2020. Hopefully we get through this, sooner rather than later. What are some of the things that you're looking at doing, some of the objectives and programs that you're...
The main things I had on plate initially was really to help to build our internal infrastructure. You can't be good externally if internally you're not strong and solid. So I really working on building our board of directors up. I was working on ensuring that we had some good procedures in place for some of the funding resources that we had in place, and just really doing our membership the best service that I can. I really kind of held off. I'm doing a lot of pushing for members right now because I want to make sure that they take care of their own self first before getting involved with us. But I do want to make sure that I add value to the ones that we do have and bring new ones on board. I was working very closely with the spring process to SCI to ensure that we have entrepreneurship being a big focus. So I'm one of the co-leaders as a chamber and part of that. So I've been watching the mentoring process, referring people into that process to get their businesses in better shape. But really just starting to work on the infrastructure internally again and gaining resources to help our businesses out.
Right. Yeah. In terms of entrepreneurship, that's really something that there's a new conversation about in Pensacola. And what are you seeing in the minority community in terms of entrepreneurship? Are you seeing more entrepreneurs, more people wanting to start a business? And what are maybe some of the hurdles that they're facing?
Well, the biggest thing, and I saw some statistics recently, and the biggest population of new entrepreneurs is Black females, actually. So there's been a big push towards Black females specifically wanting to be more entrepreneurs and getting their businesses in order. I think the virus have shown people that if you work for someone else's business, you really can't control your destiny so much. But if you have your own business, you can really put your resources towards expanding it, growing it, could be more agile and nimble. So people, I think, are going to look towards building their own more in the future. The biggest hurdles that people have, and this was done through the spring with SCI, is the fact of capital, getting capital in place to be able to get your business started. Because most people know when you start a new business, for the first few years, you may not be profitable.
Right.
You may be under what you have money-wise coming in, and you may have to survive on just bare minimum. So that's one of the big things, capital, finding mentorship, finding somebody who's already done it before to work with you, and being able to get your business out there in a way that through networking to run your business, but also build your business up.
Right.
That's some of the big hurdles that I see from working with being an entrepreneur.
Right. And the program that's been set up through the spring is offering some grants to businesses here. Talk about that a little bit in terms of is that still going on, and are there opportunities for businesses to participate?
Yeah, they actually had a black business micro grant loan process, grant process that ended on Monday.
Okay.
I think they received several hundred grant applications in. They're reviewing them now, and they'll announce the winners of that on this Friday, I believe, for who will win those grants. And I've seen other grants like that similar in the area. I know your chamber was involved in some with the Scott Luth and with SBDC. So there's been some grants out there to help people. It's just a matter of being able to fill the information out, put it in place, and build a good case to get those grants.
Right. So as we see more entrepreneurs, what types of do you see training as an issue? Are there programs that could be stood up that would help with training and that sort of thing? I
think definitely so. I mean, SCI to me has done a wonderful job with their Civicons, with the spring process, with the free trainings they offer available. I know during the actual virus, I went online, did several webinars that they offer for free, which was great. I'd have to pay for those. Every year, SCI does the EntreCon, allows businesses to come in there and get world-renowned speakers and learn from those speakers. So training is definitely a key. I think people know how to do their own business and do the work well, but it's gaining the resources to make sure that they're a stable company, they have good accounting principles, good principles with their legal requirements. It's the key thing that a lot of businesses need.
Right. So that's pretty much the questions I have. Just wanted to see if you have anything, any messages or anything you want to share.
Mainly, it's just a time that this is a tough time in our world. I've never seen in my 51 years of life an instance like this where we're dealing with the pandemic and the virus. We're dealing with some of the political unrest with the murder of George Floyd. We're dealing with our area being hurt by tourism suffering as far as businesses coming in, and we really are struggling right now as a community and as a nation, and we have to find ways to adjust, pivot through this, work together, and get through all of this. Our chamber really is in place to help all minority and small businesses, and also our allies. We have a great portion of our chambers that are non-minorities, but they want to help make sure they're part of this and help out what's going on for the economy. So I really appreciate all the support that we have. We definitely want to hear some great things from us coming out in the future, and we want to do the best we can by our area.
Awesome. Well, really appreciate the time today. Why don't you give us a website, how the folks can get in touch with you, and that sort of thing?
Well, you can go online and search for the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber of Commerce. Our address is 321 North de Village Street, Suite 104. Our website is gcmcc.info. And I'll say it again because the abbreviation
right.
is gcmcc.info.
Okay.
We're also on Facebook as well. Our phone number is area code 850-438-3993. So that's our phone number to get how to get a hold of the chamber.
Awesome. Well, Brian Wyer, President and CEO of the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber of Commerce. Really appreciate your time today. Appreciate what you're doing in the community. We'll look forward to working together moving forward, and anything we can do to help, just let us know.
Same for you. Anything we can do to help, please let us know as well.
Absolutely. Well, that'll do it for today. Make sure to join us next time on the Toddcast.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Toddcast. To learn more, check out the Greater Pensacola Chamber's Facebook page and follow us on Twitter at ToddcastPCola. That's Toddcast, letter P, colon. We hope you join us again next time on the Toddcast.